Basically, I made a profit by coming to you because you saved me five times more than you charged
That's our
me.
goal. Michael, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're just a new property owner in Barcelona.
Yeah, 2 weeks now.
2 weeks now.
Starting to feel like home.
Explain us a bit more. Who is Michael? So that people who are thinking of buying can maybe recognize themselves in your profile or...
Sure. I was born in Canada, naturalized US citizen also, and I've traveled and lived all over the world. This will be my 7th country that I've lived in. And I just spent 10 years living in a little beach town in Thailand, and then I decided it was time for a change, and I was just looking at the planet to decide where I wanted to come next, and I'd always heard good things about Barcelona. I spent a month here last May on a European trip, and it just reinforced that, yes, this is the place I want to be. So I started making my plan.
Because you moved here, right? Your plan is it's not a second residence?
No, this is my home for the next some number of years.
Right. Yeah. And to be able to live here, you're also requesting a golden visa after your purchase.
Yes. Yeah. Seems to be the most straightforward, because then I can actually work if I want to, or I can earn money. Without any restriction. I can leave the country and not worry about how many days I'm away.
You don't have your 90 days.
Yeah, so it just gives me a lot of flexibility.
Why Barcelona? Because I remember you mentioned you traveled a lot across Europe,
right,
and the world.
Yeah. I would say the climate is beautiful. After living in Thailand, I'm looking forward to 4 real seasons. You know, coming from Canada, I don't want to live in that kind of cold anymore, but seasons are great. The food, living on the Mediterranean, the feeling of a big city that's just alive with things to do and things to see.
Have you met people already in Barcelona?
Yeah, I'm going to a lot of meetups and for different engineering topics like robotics or electric cars and just drinks and food nights. There's so much to do here.
Do you remember how long the whole process took from... I think we had the first conversation in, beginning of January.
Right, that was our video conference. Yeah, I signed up on your website. Within a couple of days, we had the video conference. I told you what my requirements were. Being an engineer, I had a spreadsheet for everything. And you said, yeah, we can do all this for you. And it made me feel very comfortable that your team was a complete team, and you could handle everything I needed, from searching the listings to checking the valuations of the properties, to having inspections by the architect, checking the deed, lawyers, everything, top to bottom, one-stop shopping.
Is that, because we call ourselves often a buyer agent,
yes,
opposite to a seller agent, agencies in Spain, they work for the owners. Is what we do similar to what a buyer agent would do in the US?
No, in the US and Canada, the buyer's agent is more focused on just finding a house and making the sale. They don't do any of the other activities. If you want a deep inspection, you have to find someone and pay for that. If you want a lawyer, you find someone and pay for that.
Right. So maybe for the audience, when we say the buyer agent, it's about having a good plan, a good strategy to start even before looking at properties, potentially looking at financing if that's required. That's not the case here. Sourcing the properties, and then checking them. What's our opinion? Is this a good purchase? What do we?
Is it a good neighborhood? I mean, the feel of the neighborhood and that too. Yeah.
So do we objectively think that property is better than another property, and how do they compare, etc.? We negotiate, we draft contracts, we go to notary with yourself. We're doing some post-purchase as well, follow-up. Your furniture is coming next week, and you won't be here anymore.
Right, and I need a few handyman tasks, and you have your team that will do that for me. Yeah.
So as a foreign buyer, so people thinking of buying in Spain or in Barcelona, you have 2 options basically. Most people, they search a bit online on the big property portals, Idealista, Fotocasa, Quiero, whichever portal you look at. But then you end up on the website of an agent, a real estate agent. Those agents, they work for the sellers, for the owners exclusively. Don't care too much about Spain. Look at my videos or explain what they do, what they don't do. But you have 2 options. You can go further down that path, and therefore you interact with an agency, seller's agent, or you can hire a buyer agent. What made you initially decide to, because you looked a lot online, and I think as an engineer you planned a lot, I think, to come to us and to hire a buyer agent, opposite to just maybe taking the easy path and just contact agencies yourself and maybe trying to get a deal?
Yeah, so coming in from the outside, I felt, as I do in most things in life, is I always find the experts. in whatever that field is or whatever. So coming from outside Spain and even outside the EU, I had done, as much research as you can on the internet about the processes and risks and pitfalls of property here. And everything I read says, I need to find an expert here who will go to bat for me and protect my interests, because I can't trust the seller, because the seller is basically allowed to omit information that could be critically important. And I cannot put 100% of my trust in the seller's agent, because they don't work for me.
Right. I think we had a case in your situation where the seller was even not aware of some legal complications related to the property, preferential right of purchase.
Right, yeah. Anna found two encumbrances on the deed that had to be removed. One was a mistake by the city, and one was a hangover from the owner from before. And they both had to be removed before we could go on with the sale.
Yeah. So that's practical examples of how things work in Spain. It's a non-regulated property market. It's different from the US, it's different from most countries in Europe. What gave you most value out of our relationship? Because we did a lot of things over this.
Yeah, I would say the value was spread across the entire process. Every step of the way, we would work together, and you would give me guidance about, here's the situation, this is what we understand, you tell us what you need, and then we will do it. Everything from start to finish.
Okay.
Yeah, and one other thing is that, like you said, there's no protection for the buyer in Spain, and I mean no protection. There isn't even such a thing as we call title insurance, which is you actually have to pay to buy an insurance policy that protects you if someone else comes in and says, I actually own this property and here's my paper. There's nothing like that. You're completely unprotected.
No, that's things that our lawyers need to do, and we need to, if we give our clients a due diligence report where we sign off all the findings and recommendations, or red signs, red traffic lights if necessary. That's not the case here. And maybe last question, Mike, when you look at, of course, when you hire a buyer agent, there's a certain cost involved for a service. How do you look at that relationship between value that you get out of it and there's a cost that you pay for such a service?
Right. If you look at the price by itself, it's not a cheap thing, but if you compare it to the size of the money that you're spending, I consider it risk abatement. I mean, I'm paying this much to protect this much and run the process very smoothly for it. So from a value standpoint, it's outstanding value. And for the amount that you negotiated the property down for me, it was even a fraction of that. So basically, I made a profit by coming to you because you saved me five times more than you charged
me
on
the
negotiation.
In the negotiation, get the price as low as possible, or walk away from it if you think it's not low enough.
Right.
But it is true, most buyers, it's very hard for buyers, if you buy one time, to know, is 570 a good price for a property, or should it be 550, 530, or maybe it's just great, the price. So we benchmark it because we data tools.
Right, yeah, you have access to the protected valuation information that I can't get to on the internet. It's all secret.
If people are thinking of buying, any final tips you would like to share with them? Or things that you would say, do this first, or don't forget to do that?
Right, I would say 1, hire an expert. 2, expect things to progress slowly. I really have to dial back the pace that I live my life here, because you're dealing with governmental agencies, you're dealing with a buyer who doesn't necessarily, a seller who doesn't necessarily want to push things through quickly. So take a deep breath. Every morning, wake up, take a deep breath, and then just execute the plan as best you can.
Thanks for sharing your feedback. I wish you a lot of success in your new place.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting settled in now. I have furniture, and it's starting to feel like home again.
You can make it your home now.
Yes.
And enjoy Barcelona.
Yeah, thanks.
And thanks for working with us.
My pleasure, yeah.